One, two, three. Are you ready? Well, here we go. I'm Lisa Mitzel, and this is Condition to Win. Welcome to the show. I'm Lisa Mitzel, mental training and mental health coach, and this is Condition to Win. I can't say how excited I am about this guest today. She's so down to earth and full of joy, and she is much loved. Her fans are, well, they're fanning all over her. She is really iconic in the sports world. She is also breaking new barriers in youth sports, specifically in gymnastics. Her name is Vanessa Atler, and she just may be one of the most inspiring people I've ever met because she reflects on what's important. She's taken what she's learned about gymnastics, her own struggles, and what she has found to truly be the most important relationship in the world. It's the relationship with yourself. She talks about caring so much about the kids so they don't solely identify as a gymnast, but as a person first, a person who can learn to love themselves. And now, as a coach, she doesn't just talk the talk about mental health, but she is walking it. She is putting herself out there. So let's look at this perspective. There are a number of U.S. national team members in women's gymnastics who have spoken up about mental health in regards to their elite experience, negative coaching, and especially abuse. Celebrity athletes like Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, and Michael Phelps have spoken up resoundingly about their mental and emotional struggles and the importance of mental health. There are former gymnastics national team members who have since gone into health-related fields, such as medicine, physical therapy, sports nutrition, sports psychology, and mindfulness, to name a few. But Vanessa Atler, former U.S. national champion, may be the first and only U.S. national team member and current gymnastics coach to ever teach mental health skills to the gymnasts on her team. Vanessa is on a journey of her own personal evolution and healing, and her highest intention is to not only be a positive coach, but one that integrates mental health practices with short 5 to 10 minute exercises like self-kindness, breath work, and self-compassion. She also participates in the activities with her athletes. She doesn't just say it, but she shows them she cares, and she sees them and speaks to them as people first. In my work, I'm coaching and consulting with athletes, parents, and coaches daily, and it's definitely a new era in sports with, quote, mental health awareness. Now, through her own awareness, Vanessa is speaking up for a healthier culture, and she is endorsing resilience, which is a brand new exercise program she's using. It's made by Zen Tiger Mind to elevate coaches' skills and to provide mental health exercises for young athletes. Well, Vanessa is loving it. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. This is part 1 of 2 because, well, it was just too wonderful digging into the heart of this amazing conversation. I'm so honored to know Vanessa and continue to get to know her more deeply. And my hope is that she will inspire you too. So here we go. Well, hello, Vanessa. I'm so glad you're here.
Yay. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm super excited. I think we met, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago at a Region 1 Congress.
hmm
What kind of job were you doing then?
I was selling insurance.
Uh,
Out of all the crazy things, it sounds insane, but yeah, I got into the business because Elise Ray, the 2000 Olympian
that's
and
right.
friend of mine, said, "Hey, I just got this new job selling insurance. I know it sounds crazy, but we would be selling insurance to gyms, and you get your license, and we can really help people out because we know everything about gymnastics and da 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 or whatever. Anyways, so I hooked up with her and we just took off and started selling insurance. So I had a booth with Elise at Congress selling insurance for gyms.
Yeah. And that's when you saw the Zen Tiger Mind mag
Yes.
and
I mean,
everything.
I love going to Congress and walking around and looking at all the booths and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I saw you and saw all the wonderful things that you're doing. I was really interested in the stations that you
Yes.
had. Oh my gosh, I loved all of that stuff. And I'm always drawn to that type of thing for athletes just because I didn't have that. And in our time back way back in the day, there's a little bit of talk here and there about how to do something like that and how to work on mental health, but it wasn't a big thing. So
Yeah, a lot of people were coming up and saying this is new, this is different, and
yeah.
so I'm excited. We're going to talk about your partnership with Zen Tiger Mind here on Condition to Win. We are sponsored by Zen Tiger Mind, and we have the same mission to be a huge support for coaches and parents, and just having conversations with people like yourself. I was an elite gymnast, obviously not to the level you were, but I feel like that level of training, 30 hours a week and, enduring all kinds of things, all kinds of challenges. I think we're trained to be very humble.
Sure.
And I know that's been one of my journeys is how do I authentically talk about my past in terms of the work, the achievements, and not sound like I'm bragging. And
Sure.
and sometimes people will say, Lisa, you actually were really good. And and I was wondering, how does that feel to you when people don't know you? I mean, here we are
Yeah.
doing an interview, and if
Yeah.
anybody's coming on, Vanessa Atler was a US national champion. And how many years were you on the national team?
Oh gosh. Since I
5 years.
was 12 to 18. So what is that? 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that blows my mind because that's such an intense level, right? And at
Yeah.
a young age. Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, what do you like people to know about you?
Well, I mean, yeah, but gymnastics wise, I think, I relate because it was really hard for a long time to say the things that I accomplished and stuff, but throughout my journey and just the starting over show, I've gained a lot of confidence in being proud of what I've done, and yay.
I'm raising my fist, smiling. Yes, be proud.
Yeah. And then there was that like kind of going through being proud of it and then being able to say it also. You know what I mean? So like inside, oh my gosh, I love watching myself on YouTube and I like showing my kids and all of that stuff. And then but if somebody used to say, what did you accomplish? I would always be like, well, I didn't my first thing would be like, I didn't make the Olympics. That
Yeah.
was my first thing always. And it was so sad. I was like, why would I do that to myself? Um so yeah, what would I want people to know? I guess, my biggest thing was I was a national champion in 1997. I was a Goodwill Games gold medalist. I competed in Olympic trials, which I'm very proud of to say. I was a world team member. And then I think I also had a great just following. I think I had a lot of fans, and I still do, that are so supportive of me all the time, and I'm so grateful for that. I wrote a children's book called Let the River Flow that I think helps young athletes be okay with losing and enjoying what you do, and doing it because of that, not because of medals and things like that. I'm also a member of the American Alumni Gymnastics Association, where we try to bring national team members back together again and let them realize that they're not forgotten. And, we can talk about healing in our past and still coming together, enjoying all of the things that we learned from gymnastics. Yeah. And then now I'm a gymnastics coach. I'm a mom. Um, I sold insurance for a while. I also very proud of my COVID time of refurbishing furniture. So I'm all kinds of things that I'm very proud of, but
So,
that's the gist of it.
So let's do a little lightning round for maybe
Sure.
2 minutes at the most.
Okay.
And this is for fun, but
Okay.
maybe something deep. We'll see here. Okay, as a girlfriend, Vanessa, the girlfriend, like girls' night out or something,
Okay.
or
Oh God.
hanging out with the girls. What is something that you love to do or that's made you laugh super hard?
Gosh, well, I'll say quickly, I don't have a lot of girlfriends. I'm very like minimal, maybe 3 to 4 at most. But if I was to have a girls' night, there's got to be great music and dancing. I think that's like number one. And then if it gets late night, it's deep talks, right? Talking about the men in our family, the men in our family, our husbands, talking about our kids and how difficult it is, and just like getting down deep into the real stuff so we can all relate to each other.
That sounds awesome. I would be your girlfriend. Okay, what kind of movies do you like?
What kind of movies? Oh my gosh. Oh well, I'm a diehard old Disney fan, so like the old stuff like Pinocchio, Dumbo, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland. So I'm that. And then nowadays, oh my gosh, I'm kind of like just a trendy person. Whatever's really like had great reviews, I go out and go see it. But I don't know, I really haven't seen like much good stuff lately. I saw Lilo and Stitch at the drive-in and I loved it. So I'm a kind of still like a kid at heart. I like kid stuff and I love watching it with my kids. So I don't really go watch any deep stuff
Yeah,
or action stuff I don't like. So
yeah. And what kind of creative things do you do, whether that's in the kitchen? I heard you say you like dancing, which I was wondering about.
yeah, I no, I love dancing. And that's I did choreograph for a long, long time for floor routine. So I love that. And when I was younger and go to the clubs, which was like a 1 year period probably, but I loved dancing. But nowadays I do love cooking. I'm a huge cookbook person where I will probably do 3 recipes out of each cookbook and then move on to the next one. But I love cooking. I love reading. I love going for walks,
Yeah.
taking baths. And I would say I'm a creative person. Like I do like art and things like that. And I think my daughter's kind of got into that realm of she loves crafting and stuff like that. So I kind of do it with her. But other than that, just at gym.
Okay. How would you describe yourself as a mom?
Um, Pretty laid back. I think I only have like a little bit of strictness in there from like my, you know, gymnastics. I mean, if I didn't do gymnastics, I probably would be horrible as far as like any kind of discipline whatsoever. But I'm pretty laid back. I'm pretty fun. I can be too laid back where like I'm letting them jump on couches. So then when they go to someone else's house, they're jumping on their couches, and I've had to learn how to pull back. I'm kind of like that as a coach also, a little too laid back and then I have to reel them in. I don't know. I'm a worry wart. I worry about them all the time in school or friends or what they're going to be like when they're older. I think typical mom stuff, their
Mm,
health, so I think I'm a typical mom.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're a very loving mom.
Oh, thank you. I try.
Well, I was down at your gym at Central Coast Gymnastics and I got to meet the kids and your lovely husband and
Oh,
you're good people. You're good
thank
people.
you. Thank you.
Well, I gravitate towards people who just have all the things that you're describing, with deep talks and dancing on one side, but then being, the nurturing mom, the laid back mom, wanting to have fun, but then yet
Yeah.
also wanting the best for your children. All right. Well, very good lightning round. I hope your fans liked a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of reflect and just talk about how you have been evolving and especially considering, some of the strictness, I guess, and the drive that you had as a young person and what, young people today are still continuing to experience and endure in wanting that big goal, in wanting to reach something that feels not just meaningful in their own way, but to show that they have value.
Right.
And I think that that's what young people are so thirsty for is I need to prove, I need to show that I have value. And
Yeah,
so looking back at the pressure that you experienced, whether that was outward or let's say external pressure, or it could have just been internal, but I think that the internal comes from the from the
sure,
house.
sure, sure. I think that's where you learn it from for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
What was your thought or kind of self perception before the pressure started? How did you perceive yourself as, I don't know if that would have been like 10, 11 years old or if it,
Right.
you know.
I think still at that time I really didn't know what to think of myself. So I think that was why I ran into a lot of problems
Mm,
later was because I didn't have a great sense of identity of who I was because I've always been a big people pleaser, which I think a lot of people can relate to, especially as gymnasts, is what I've learned is I think I've always a lot of times been in survival mode since I was young because I didn't want to get in trouble.
mm,
That was like my big fear, right? Not getting in trouble. So you do the walking around eggshells around your coaches and you try to be good and you say, hey, watch this and and always get approval. And I was always pretty good at that, right? I feel like I was great at reading people and knew what they wanted to see and who they wanted me to be. And that's kind of who I was at 11, 12 years old, was just trying to be that person. So I think when things maybe have fallen apart, and then when I was done with gymnastics and all of that stuff, I was just really lost on who I was. And so I think the whole journey was really self-love or self-care, self-compassion is the
yeah,
biggest thing that I've learned is a lot of stuff we're always going, yeah, how do we get this approval? How do I show people? It's always about other people. And
yeah,
and it's really just going back to yourself of usually you're trying to get validation from other people because you don't love yourself or you don't
yeah,
know who you are. So yeah, but at 11, 12 years old, that was my thing was the way to get people to like me was to be a good gymnast.
yeah.
Yeah.
So true. So
Yeah,
true.
right? Yeah. I mean, because you don't know much more than that when you're an athlete. And then that's what you get all of your attention from is, wow, you're so great. Da 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 da, your body's so great, all of these things. And
Mm,
it's like, wow, okay, this is who I am. And it makes people happy.
yeah,
And
yep,
and I'm getting great attention. So when things aren't great, that's when you lose a lot, lose who you are and lose people saying you're so great anymore. And then you go, wow, how do I get back to that again? And the only way I can do that is keep trying to be a great gymnast.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of flowing through my mind what you're describing, and I'm thinking that on a very visceral level. I remember being 11 or 12, and 12. But for kids today, how do we then help them understand in the smallest way, because their brains don't fully develop until their late 20s, and even
Right.
then, like you said, you're still developing yourself. They go through those, especially in they say like seventh and eighth grade, the preteen years,
Hmm.
very unusual time where they feel like they have to fit in, they feel like they have to get approval, they have to have people like them, and that's part of their social growth, is
Yeah.
that connecting with other kids. So as a coach, and you've been coaching for what, since 2005, or how many years have you?
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. Probably about
Yeah,
2005.
so
Yeah. There,
20.
did some camps earlier than that, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With the kids now, how do you help your staff? I mean, because I met Kate and Erica. Hi, guys. You're so cute. I love you. Uh, how do you guys either directly or indirectly address their value is not their success? Their value is not being a gymnast and performing. Their value is just
Yeah.
person.
Well, first of all, I mean, I think I got very lucky with Kate and Erica, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to work at Central Coast. I've only been there for 2 years, so and I had taken a break from coaching. So when I came over to visit, I think that was like the biggest thing that I wanted to see was who are these people that I'll be working with. And Kate is a mom of three who I love the way that she parents, and she's so thoughtful with everyone. And Erica is young. I've never seen someone so young and so just engaged with the kids and loving. So I think most of all, what I think we do as people, and I think we get along so well because we just it's one of our main goals is just to connect with the kids outside of gymnastics, right?
Mm,
So that's one way is obviously when they're coming into gym, you're talking about what'd you do at home? What's going on, And like I have one of my girls, Elsie, getting her permit, and she comes in every day and talks about how her driving went. Someone got mad at her on the road, and 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 it's just like we're excited about it because we love them as people. And I think that's what they need to know is that we are interested in what you're doing at home and tell me. And oh, wow, you did a piano recital. Show me the video. Let's see it. Let's talk about it or whatever. So I think that's a big one is them knowing that my coaches love me no matter what.
yeah.
It's not about what I'm doing in the gym or practice, or even if, sadly, sometimes they're not working hard, which we all don't work hard sometimes. If they're not working hard that day, I'm still want to know about what happened at home. You know what I mean? And it's okay. It's that I'm not basing my love off of their performance or even how hard they work that day.
Yeah.
And I think they need to know that it is okay to be human and want to come in and not do anything and be tired that day. I think that's important too, because I think sometimes I was always wanting them to feel like every day I come in, it's going to be my 100% effort, because that's what they want from me. And that's how they're going to like me is I'm the one that's coming and working hard. And yeah, as a coach, that's the easiest ones to like, right? Is the ones that are like, what do I do next, coach? But I need to like the kid that also doesn't want to be there that day
Mm.
or doesn't want to work hard that day or does 25 or does 10 pull-ups instead of 25 that they're supposed to do. Maybe we sit down and talk about it, but I still love you no matter what. So I think that's a big one for us is we are just really are interested in love who they are as people and that
Yeah.
they need to know that.
Love kids as people.
That's right.
Yeah, I've been in the gymnastics industry
Yeah.
for many, many years. Uh, we're talking the 70s. But I love being in gyms and I love the energy. I love everything about it. But then I get little question marks in my mind because I like to continue to learn, to listen, and to see how can we increase our awareness of the words we're saying
Yeah.
as the coaches and how that could land on a child
Yes.
because
Yeah.
every child comes from a different home and every family has their own dynamic.
Right.
So you can't just take it for granted that these kids, well, they came, they say they want to be on the team, they have these goals, so chop chop, right?
Right.
But when a kid goes over the table and a coach says, "Ooh, I like that one," and then they go over the table another time, and then they're like, "I didn't like that one."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
To me, I'm just kind of, and again, this is my own issues, right? That I'm not putting any judgment,
Sure.
but uh, is it then telling the kid, well, I have to do something so that they like it? Like
Right.
I have to please,
Think
like it's the whole
I don't
please.
know. That's a good question. And I think that's all something that I think coaches that are really trying to change are battling with is where is that line of still being a coach and telling them, hey, you could have worked a little harder on that, or you could push a little harder. I think it just has to come along with other things of like, hey, that one wasn't as great and it's because of this, but hey, good try or good effort, or let's keep working on it. Uh, I mean,
Yeah,
you're not going to say after each turn, I love you no matter what, you know what I mean? But it's like, I think they know that from your actions in workout. So I think kids can take corrections better when they know there's not something behind it. But there are some kids that come from homes that they do take everything personal of what you said. I mean, I was one of them. I remember Steve was like, dude, she cries every single time I give her a correction,
mm,
and he's just like, we've got to, his solution was like, we've got to fix this, stop her from crying all the time. But
mm,
it's more of like, how do we get her to know that this isn't a personal attack and that we love her and then, how do we maybe say it in a different way that's not going to hurt her? I don't know. And this is why I'm doing this program, and this is why I'm still learning it. I think it's a process of trying to figure out what is really going to affect them. And I think as long as we are trying and we keep researching and trying new things, that's what we can do. You know what I mean? We don't just say, hey, we need to get better and we don't do anything. We need to figure that stuff out. And there are plenty of times where I know I have said things that probably didn't resonate well with kids. And a lot of stuff's old stuff that comes out from maybe how I was coached or just what I thought would get them to get going or whatever. And then you go bed at night and you're up all night going, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And all you can do is go back the next day and say, hey, you know what? I'm really sorry that I said that. It probably didn't end up well or come out the way I wanted it to. And let's talk about it. I think that's really just what we're searching for is these kids just need to know that we care. But I
Yes.
think most of all, I think each and every one of us as adults can go back and remember a time when someone said something that
Yeah.
maybe to that person didn't mean much, but to us, it
Yeah.
affected the way that we do things our entire life, right? That one sentence, that one word is just like ingrained in your brain forever. So we do have to be really careful because these kids look up to us and we're an adult in most of their childhood, right? More than their parents. And we really have to work hard on this part of coaching as well, not just how do we get them to point their toes,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, we're talking about their adulthood, their life, their childhood also of like I get it, we're coaches and we have some young coaches in this United States that are just so like, I want to be that amazing Olympic coach that gets these kids to go here. And then at the end of the day, you know what? That's gone in a second. And then they're adults. And
Yeah.
what your actions, what did they do? Who have they become as adults? Did you make them better? Did you help them, not did you get them to the Olympics? Because that's just a very small part of their life. So,
Yeah. So I'm wondering, I remember having a young gymnast who, and I don't know if she was diagnosed. She was kind of a lower level gymnast and like around 9 or 10 years old and very hyper. And so I don't know if she was diagnosed with any kind of ADD or ADHD,
mhm,
but she often, her attention drifted. And then she was also, um, very strong. Her personality was, especially one of the other girls.
mhm,
And I don't know if she needed to feel stronger, better, more powerful, smarter. I don't know what she really needed, but at times it was a little bit too much. And I was really continuing to think of how can I communicate with this child? What can I say? Because I know that I had these moments where I felt like I was struggling to keep her in line,
mhm, mhm.
but do it in a positive way because
Yeah,
she was very, she was a handful.
yeah, yeah,
So, what is your approach when you're actually wanting, like, what are the words that you say, or what are the ideas that come to you afterwards when you're reflecting, like, this kid is difficult
yeah,
for me? Like, I hate to label any child difficult.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're
Mhm.
going through something, they need something. And that is the biggest thing that I think us coaches and adults need to consider in our own strategies of coaching and working with kids. This child needs something. They're not intentionally coming to the gym to cause a problem. They don't
Right,
want to be a problem,
right,
but they're lacking some, and usually it's some kind of attention, some kind of affection, right? Or they don't feel accepted in some way. So maybe their default, the mask that they put on is, I'm strong, I'm tough, I can talk to anybody, I can do anything, I can bet that, and they're just a handful, right?
yeah.
But what would be your thought on how to work
So,
with kids?
yeah, that's a hard situation. And I think what I've learned from the starting over show and having like life coaches is I think those kids, like you said, they're missing something, right? So I think they're missing some sort of support
Yeah.
or love, or they're just, yeah, whatever. They're scared of disappointing or
Mm,
whatever. So they're finding attention in other ways and stuff. So I think number one, what I would do would be to have their parents drop them off 15, 20 minutes early, or ask them if they can stay after and find a quiet place to sit down and talk and just say, hey, I'm struggling a little bit and I want you see if you can help me out here, and
mm,
really that you're coming from a place of just I want to make sure that you're okay. And I
Mm.
want to make sure if there's anything wrong or how you're feeling, because I know sometimes sometimes you do this, right? And I think it's really good to be open and honest. Like sometimes, when I'm giving you a correction, or maybe you're looking over here and you're not looking me in the eye, and I know the place can be distracting and stuff, and maybe it's hard for you to connect or it feels uncomfortable, or I just want to know, is there anything that I can do to help you? Because I really think that you're amazing. And I really think that you have so much, you did this and you did this. And I just want them to know that I like them and that I care about them and give them an opportunity to talk. Sometimes they're still closed off and they might not say much, but it still resonates with them that you sat down and take the time. It's not just in the gym while you're working out and kids are around. It's like a moment that you need to have with them. And if you do that, I think a lot more often with that same kid, they will start opening up more. They'll start usually listening to your corrections more and stuff because they're not feeling like you're somebody that's against them. And a
Yes.
lot of times those type of kids always feel that way everywhere, outside of home, in school, at teachers, all that stuff. So if they can have a friend that they feel like, okay, I can trust this person and all of that stuff. And I think coaches can relate to that sometimes just when you're a new coach. It's very difficult at first, and then kids will start to trust you more because they get to know you, and then they can take corrections better. But then you have these ones that are a lot harder, and they need more time to trust you. They need more time to go, oh, this person is a helpful person. This person actually likes me. This person's not mad at me or thinks I'm a pain in the ass, or whatever, pain in the butt. This person is my friend and cares about me. So I think small moments like that of really having quiet time with them and asking them for stuff, even if you don't get anything out of it, I think they is helpful. But that's really all I've got.
Oh, that was powerful, Vanessa.
Oh, good.
I think that that is one of the most loving things we can do for any child is to say, I like you. I want to help you. I'm struggling. So maybe you can help me.
Yeah.
And for a child, they're like, huh?
Yeah.
Well, how am I
Me
going to?
help you?
But, and here's a word, and maybe I said this when I was at your gym. This is a partnership.
Yeah.
And when we look to the child as having the ability to contribute to this relationship, we look at the child having the inner wisdom that they're uncomfortable, they're scared, there's something, and they will know that, but they can't always articulate it.
Right.
But
Right. For sure.
they're growing their own inner wisdom about themselves, and that's, I think, something that we might want to just consider in our own perception of every single child, is they are growing their own sense of inner wisdom, and we get to have those little moments, like you said, sit down either before or
Yeah.
after, and even if they don't answer, or they don't say something that makes real sense to you, we are planting the seed and it resonates. They took time. The coach took time. The coach
Yes.
said they like me and they want to help me. And you're right. Like, is it consistent? Do you just say this like once every 3 months? That's, 4 times a year. That's not going to cut it. But
Yeah.
like in terms of the child getting that message in a strong way. But
Yeah. But there's little things, then the next day you ask them, "Oh, how was school today?" or something. You know what I mean? It's little things where they go, "Oh, okay, she cares about who I am, not I'm
yes.
giving her trouble at gym or whatever, Whatever happened yesterday, even though I didn't try on this thing or whatever, she still cares about who I am and she forgot about that last day or whatever. So,
Well, another tip that, since we're just on the subject, that I like to give is that whenever a child is not able to follow your instruction, or especially, keep up with the group, is find a way to give them a position of leadership,
I love that. Yes.
because they're going to feel like they're not good enough, even if they don't say it, even if they wear that mask of trying to get attention in another way. They're going to feel that they're not good enough. And we need to give them a position of leadership that, hey, this is a point where you get to be in charge. You,
Right.
you get to help the group.
Right.
You
I
get to
love that.
be my junior coach for this month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
And
I love that. And I think that's, from experiences. Sometimes I feel like I just need like a list on the wall of like, try this,
coming.
because sometimes you're just so caught in the emotion of like, you go in as a coach and you have this list of things drills and new stuff because you want them to get this new skill or whatever. And you're just so excited about something. And then a kid does something where you're just going like, "Ugh, they're ruining my plans. This is how, and then you get caught up in that and you forget. You forget. And sometimes I'm a big list, like I'm a big like visual. I need reminders of that stuff. And it's like, okay, this kid's, not paying attention. Maybe I need to make her the leader today of something. You know what I mean? It's those little stuff, that little reminders of that stuff that makes a huge impact. And guess what? Then you go back to your plans because you've solved the problem or whatever. So yeah.
Well, then I'm going to just make a little commitment here. Those tips are coming from Zen Tiger Mind.
Yes.
It'll be a little mini poster if you want to blow it up of coach tips for difficult days
Yes.
and kids who need extra.
I mean, that's even good for rec coaches, right? It's like,
Yes. Yep.
it's even harder for them. They got that short period of time where they got to get everyone in line. And sometimes you just have kids that struggle and it's stressful sometimes. So, but if you put these tools in your pocket, things become a
Amen.
lot less stressful.
Amen.
Yeah,
Yes. Church of good, positive coaching.
that's right. Church of Zen Tiger Mind.
Church of Zen Tiger Mind. There we go. Okay, friends, part 2 is coming out soon. If you're interested in the resilience program to elevate your coaching and teach your athletes mental health practices, we have a big discount code for you. Go to zentigermind.com/store. And because you are listening to Condition to Win podcast and you're learning about what Vanessa's whole person approach is all about, use code Vanessa80. That's VANESSA 80 and get $80 off the Resilience Essential with 44 exercises. Resilience can change your life and the lives of your coaches and the kids. In the next episode, Vanessa goes more deeply into the gymnastics pressures and struggles that she experienced and how they have showed up in her life as an adult, how she is becoming more aware, learning how to accept herself and embrace herself and just be more loving. And she talks about teaching her gymnasts, the challenges they face, and now integrating the resilience program. Okay, everyone, you are awesome. We'll see you next time. Well, that's the show. I'm Lisa Mitzel. I'm honored you chose to listen in. Check the show notes for information. Share your thoughts in the comments. Give us a positive rating if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe. Okay, my friends, this is your journey to grow and learn and guide yourself to your own transformation. I am sending you good vibes, deep breaths, and peace.